Hello, this is Miss Andrea, and today I want to talk about two specific types of homeschooling programs, um, and they are called Lifepacs and PACES. Lifepacs are made by a company called Alpha Omega Publications, and PACES are released by a company called Accelerated Christian Education. As they are so similar, I'm going to be using the names somewhat interchangeably, though I hope to not confuse anyone with that. The first thing I'm going to mention is pricing. It borders on astronomical. For Lifepacs, first grade, 4 subject set, just 4 basic subjects, you're looking at $420 for the year. For the PACES, for example, 7 subjects, grade 4, you are looking at $295.19 for the year for workbook sets. It's been a while, but I have personally used these programs in some capacity for single subjects. From my own kids and other people's reviews seems to mirror my personal experience. For example, in this one, someone said it has far too many errors and seems to be based in a 1950s world, which can be very confusing to a child. I do like that they have Bible study, science, and history, geography for younger age groups, but so much has to be corrected in each. They really should know better. Quit using math and language arts by them because it wasn't as easy to use as others and the errors were too new. I had this issue myself when I used it for government for my 12th grader. She'd do the work, I'd correct it, and she'd bring it back and say, "No, Mom, I'm right. The curriculum is wrong. Look it up." So, we learned how to research. There's that. But it was more work than it was worth. Did I say outdated? Yeah, because they are. This little blurb is from the Kathy Duffy Reviews.com, a very trusted website for homeschool reviews. And here's a little blurb. As of the summer of 2015, grades 6 through 10 have been reformatted with a crisp, easy to read appearance that looks more up to date. The content itself for some subjects has been updated, but some Lifepacs retain copyrights from the 1990s. Most significantly, the math courses have been heavily revised and updated for better alignment with a more rigorous coverage offered by other publishers. This sounds promising, but I poked around, and the most recent publication dates I could find on either of these curriculums was 2012. Guys, we're pushing 10 years. And if things are incorrect and they haven't updated it, then they're still incorrect. Science changes quickly. History is updated quickly. I just don't think it's okay to have curriculum this old in this day and age. So this review seems to be a strong consensus, and I'll read it for you. I deeply regret this purchase and wouldn't recommend this set to anyone. I am religious, Christian, so I get the desire to include God in the curriculum. I really do. But the science books are not actual science, and the history and geography books are almost useless. I blew my curriculum budget for this school year on this set, so I'm stuck correcting it every day. But next year I will not be repeating this mistake. I guess I can't say much about the math and language arts section. They aren't hard. At the very least, this was an excellent test of how well we did for PSK first grade, because she often catches misinformation before I have to say it. For instance, a very tiny instance, just skimmed off the top of my head. My daughter knew what chlorophyll is in preschool. We talked about it a lot. I used concepts that were easy for her to get, even at that age. Her Unit 2 science book calls it the green. The green in the leaf helps the leaf to make food for the plants. Unit 1 classified reptile as a creepy or crawling animal. Nothing about the animal classifications of what makes a reptile a reptile. Her brother's preschool science workbook was more accurate and in depth than that. Hopefully by the end of the year, things get more informative, but otherwise we'll end up supplementing anyway, which was not the intent of buying a boxed set. So how do I really feel? This last blurb that I found in a Christian homeschool forum, the last little blurb kind of sums up everything nicely. At the bottom of the screen, it says, "My parents were Christian, of a Baptist non-denominational viewpoint, and wanted to give me an education that reflected that. They found that in ACE. I didn't know any different at the time and just learned and did the assignments. Although, like MJ, someone else in the forums, I felt very small, very judged, and very much like I'd never make a worthy difference in the world if I didn't travel to the farthest reaches of the jungles on earth and witness cannibals in the purest love whilst being impaled by them. I didn't even realize how much of a Christian bubble I was raised in until I went to my first college lit class, and everyone at least knew what the teacher meant when referring to the classics of literature. Sure, I'd heard of Shakespeare, but his plays and writings had material that most Christians cringed at teaching children. So I made a video 2 years ago apologizing to adult homeschool children who regretted having had been homeschooled. And this was the type of thing I was apologizing for. When I started thinking of and talking about creating a homeschool program, I specifically interviewed friends of my daughters and my sons who had been previously homeschooled to find out what they felt like they got out of it and what they felt like was missing. And they literally told me, I used PACES or Lifepacs. I gamed the system. I just skimmed it, answered questions, handed it back to my parent. They did or did not, depending on their whim that day, corrected. And I just pretty much faked my way through homeschool high school. I completely phoned it in, and my parents never realized how lazy I was being. This is the consensus of adults who were homeschooled using this kind of micro workbook curriculum. When I say micro workbook curriculum, I mean instead of giving them textbooks, they break the textbooks down into little workbooks so as not to overwhelm. And you go through about a workbook per month per subject, which is, I like the idea of that. But if the student can just skim, answer the questions, and brush it off and never be challenged to think, that's a problem. Many of these young people did not go to college and or didn't make it through a semester or two in college. I'm seeing depression, and I'm seeing an overall just unhappiness with life now. But here's the thing. I don't think that PACES and Lifepacs are the worst things ever in homeschooling. Do I think they need improvement? Absolutely. Do I think they need updating? Absolutely. Do I have a problem with the way they approach science and geography? Absolutely. Those things, however, can be fixed should the companies choose to do so. I mean, they'll probably always take the approach to science and social studies that they do because it is a young earth viewpoint that we don't get too far into the business of science because it messes with our heads religion-wise. And that's people's decisions. However, I just feel like The bigger problem is how these programs are used. These programs are used passively. And I don't believe for a minute that the people who wrote these programs ever intended for parents to hand their children a workbook and say, do it, and the child come back and the parent correct it, and that is the end of it. I really want to believe that these programs were created with an active homeschool parent in mind who would sit through the kids, especially with math, and discuss things and help them figure out things if they didn't understand it the first time. I really feel like this work was meant for a parent sitting with a student. And when a parent is sitting with a student, it gets real hard to phone in the work. Another big problem I'm seeing is in not supplementing your curriculum. Every homeschool curriculum ever written needs to be supplemented. If you're doing a science unit on electricity, go to a science museum that has an electrical exhibit. If you're doing something on amphibians, get ye to a pond. Like, take real world opportunities to impart and reinforce what your child is learning in a book. It's COVID. We can't get out. There are YouTube videos to the ends of the earth that you can use to say, hey, we studied this today. Let's watch this video. Curriculum is not the end all be all. And when we use it as the end all be all, we are shortchanging ourselves and we are shortchanging our children. And if we just use the curriculum as a guide to kind of just test them on the knowledge and use real world opportunities and examples to teach and reinforce, I think this curriculum and any other curriculum could work. Now, the things that are just wrong, children are learning critical thinking skills, are they not? That's up to you. If you like that, if you are a PACES or Lifepac lifer, so be it. But don't hand your kids a workbook and expect them to be college ready or college bound even. So that's all I have. Until next time.